All right guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all good. So I'm gonna get right to the point of this video. Basically, Boss have released a brand new product that I'm personally really excited about. I'm really happy Boss have done it, and I can't wait to show you what it does. We're gonna be looking at the brand new Boss EV-1 WL, which is a MIDI expression pedal, but the most exciting part about it is it's a Bluetooth MIDI expression pedal. Not just for people that use things like myself, like the Neural DSP plugins or the STL tones or anything like that, where you have MIDI expression capabilities within the plugin, because of course it can control that, but also any MIDI expression or MIDI instrument that you can map this to do anything you want it to do within a plugin, which is just really exciting. It's a really convenient way of just getting expressive fast, and there's no wires involved. Just need to let you guys know this is a sponsored video. Boss have paid me to check out this gear, send it over, but also to be one of the beta testers before it launched, just to make sure it was all working properly. I'm gonna let you know what I think at the end of the video, but like always, I'm gonna show you what the product does, demonstrate it to the best of my ability. So I just need to let you know that. So the EV-1 WL, which we'll call EV-1 for short, is this little bad boy here. It's a little expression pedal, nice and simple design from Boss. I'll show you some close-ups, but as I said, it's Bluetooth MIDI expression. It's also USB, and you can use TRS MIDI as well. You can power this with a 9-volt battery or a power adapter if you choose to. And the cool thing is that we're going to get into how you map it and how you do all the setup and stuff, because it's really important to know how to do that, whether you're using plugins in Standalone or within a DAW. I'll show you all that. But also, it's got a control out on the side. So it's got a ring tip control out that you can use something like this, the Boss FS6, which I was sent along with this, so you can map the switches here to do extra things within a plugin or a software instrument. So what I'm going to show you in this video is I've got a couple of instances of Neural DSP. I've got Archetype Gojira and the Corey Wong plugin set up, because they both have MIDI expression capabilities such as the whammy effect or the wah pedal. So I'm going to map it all, and I'm going to show you some really cool things that you can do with this little setup. Of course, you don't have to use one of these. You can get any sort of ring tip foot switch and just connect it to this. But anyway, I'm going to show you how you use all this stuff within my DAW, which is Logic, using the Neural DSP plugins. So yeah, let's check it out. This is the Boss EV-1 WL. Okay, so the first thing I want to do in this video is get the EV-1 working with your computer, so getting it working with Bluetooth. I'll show you how to set all that up, but the first thing I want to do is calibrate it. So the way to do that, there's a little power button, a little power switch on the back, on the front even, and a Bluetooth switch. You have to hold the Bluetooth switch down, turn it on, and you'll see some flashing lights start happening. Now, when you put it to heel position, as you can see, the blue light started flashing along with the green. In heel position, the green light's flashing here. When we move to toe position, it changes. So now the green light's flashing here as well. Basically meaning it's recognized heel and toe, and it's calibrated, so you can turn it back off. Now that you've calibrated it, the next thing you need to do is connect it to the iOS app, so that you can set all the settings with regards to CC commands, program changes, and all the rest of it before you get it hooked up to your computer. First thing you want to do is set up the EV-1 for pairing. So you simply just hold down for a couple of seconds the Bluetooth button. It will start flashing rapidly. When it's doing that, you open up the app, and you should be able to see pair to Bluetooth device. You select the EV-1 WL, and then basically you pair it. Once it's paired, it'll bring up a couple of different menus. It brings up Bluetooth, USB, MIDI out, and total. So the first thing we want to look at, because we're going to be using it with Bluetooth, is the Bluetooth menu. You can see all the different commands that the EV-1 is capable of. We can send 5 different commands. So that's CC number 1 through to 5. So firstly, CC1, I've got it set to off, then EXP on is 2, and then EXP switch, so that's like when you switch on a wah pedal, for example, that's the switch element of the expression pedal. That's CC command 3. I've got control 1 out as 4, and then control 2 out as 5. And that's how I've got it set up. So that's really cool. Then you would do the exact same thing if you were going to use it with USB or the MIDI out. And then you move over to total, and in total you can select the MIDI channel, so you can see MIDI channel 1. You can change the LED switch color between a load of different colors like white, purple, red, green, blue, light blue. It's really cool. You can adjust the expression pedal curve between normal, slow, or fast. You can adjust the switch sensitivity, so how hard you have to press to get the switch to activate. You can choose the switch mode to be latching or momentary, and of course you can do the exact same thing with the control modes as well, latching or momentary. Once you've got it all set up and you've got the EV-1 configured how you want using the app, you just disconnect it. So you just hold down the Bluetooth button again, it'll disconnect from your phone, and then you want to set it up to pair with your computer. Okay, so now you've figured your EV-1, the next thing to do is get it set up with the computer. So switch it on. The little Bluetooth light should start flashing pretty rapidly. If it's not and it's flashing slowly, you just press it and it will start flashing rapidly, which means it wants to pair to something. So I've got a screen grab running on my computer. The first thing we want to do is go Finder, Go. I use a Mac. I'm not sure where it would be on Windows, I'm sorry, but if you're a Mac user, you go to Go, down to Utilities, and then in Utilities, you should be able to find Audio MIDI Setup. You double click that, it opens it up. Now this app is open, go back up to your toolbar, hit Window, and then go down to where it says Show MIDI Studio. Now, now that we're in MIDI Studio, you can see all the different Bluetooth enabled devices this Mac has ever connected, but we want to focus on the EV-1L. So there's some icons up here. See this Bluetooth one here? Whack that. And it, now that we've got our flashing, as you can see, the flashing EXP pedal, it means it wants to pair, and the Mac has picked it up, as you can see here. So if I click connect, connect again. So now we've got the EV-1 connected via Bluetooth to the Mac. It's currently not going to do anything if you just open up any plugin. There's some more setup to do, which we'll get onto now. But what's really important to note here is that we've configured it with our phone, then we've disconnected it from our phone, and then we've paired it with our computer using those steps. And it means we can now freely use it within standalone versions of plugins or plugins within your DAW. So we'll get onto that now. Okay, so we're going to pair the EV-1 with an instance of Gojira archetype, but the standalone version, because most of you guys will probably be using that, so it's not running inside a DAW. I'll also show you how to do that real quick. But anyway, open it up standalone, go down to the MIDI icon, and in here we get MIDI mappings. Just bear in mind that the EV-1 is connected. You don't have to worry about it. It is connected to the computer if you follow the previous steps. The next thing we do is we add a MIDI parameter. So we go down to CC Absolute. This is how I've learned to do it. So it's CC Absolute. Then you go into your parameters. These are all the parameters you can affect with a CC command using MIDI, which is insane. All this different stuff within the Neural plugins. But anyway, I want it to be activate the whammy pedal. Now, I need to remember which CC command it was that allows me to turn on the pedal. In this instance, it's CC3 because that's the switch. Then I need to add another command. I need to go down to CC Absolute again, but I want to be using the position of the whammy. So this is how I actually use it as a whammy. So wow position. Remember, this is MIDI channel 1 as we'd set up in the app. And then I go to my CC command and I go CC command 2, because that is my expression pedal that I set. Once you've done that, essentially what should happen at this stage is if I click my expression pedal down, you should see the wow turns on, and when I move it back and forth, it's mapped and it's doing its bad boy thing. It's so cool. It's just doing it over Bluetooth, as you can see, and then you just press down again to turn it off. So that's awesome. That's how you do it in standalone mode. We don't need to worry about that now. I'm going to quit that, get rid of standalone mode, and we're going to go back into our DAW version because it's slightly different. So in order to get this working the same way in standalone as you do inside a DAW, like I said, you have to set it up as a software instrument and as an AU MIDI controlled instrument. So that's audio unit MIDI controlled instrument. And then you can load up the Neural DSP plugins that way. If you try and load it up as a plugin and just jam in through, like, you know, just plug in straight into your interface, it won't work. It won't work in the same way. It has to be loaded up as a MIDI controlled instance of Neural DSP, which in most DAWs, it should be fairly straightforward on how you actually load up those instances. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you how to set up using the EV-1 as a MIDI expression pedal within a DAW, within an instance of, in my case, Neural DSP. So I'm going to create a new project. So what we need to do here, rather than setting it up as an audio track and then loading the instance of the plugin that way, we need to go software instrument, and then you choose your instrument. So I would scroll down to AU MIDI controlled effect. Right, so at this point, I'm plugged in to input 2 on my interface. But if I try and play this plugin with a guitar plugged into the interface, nothing's going to happen because it's loaded up as a software instrument. What I need to do is sidechain the input so that you can hear. So basically it's passing the signal into the computer, into Logic. So I need to set that up as input 2 because that's where my guitar is plugged into. And if I go ahead and just quickly demonstrate. Yeah. So now you've heard the signal be passed through. We know we're getting signal into the plugin. That's all great. We're going to go ahead and check out some mapping we can use with the EV-1. So go down to your MIDI icon. Next thing to do is to create a new command. So we want CC absolute. It wants to be channel 1. And for this, I'm going to activate the whammy pedal. So that's channel 1. And I need to make sure that the CC command number correlates to the one I'd set in the phone app. In this instance, the switch to turn it on was CC command 3. To be able to use the whammy as a whammy with the expression pedal itself, I need to set up CC absolute, go back in, and it's whammy position, and that needs to be CC command 2 to correlate with the expression sweep that I'd set up. So now that that's done, if I go across here and I stomp down on my expression pedal, it turns on. And now if I pull back to the heel position, there you go. Beauty. So that's exactly the same as standalone, but this is how you would go about getting it to work in a DAW as a MIDI controlled instrument. Okay, so if you followed all those steps, the EV-1 should be connected and you should be able to map it to the plugins, whatever plugins you're using, but in this instance, it's the Neural DSP stuff. At this point, we can start getting creative with what we want the EV-1 and the FS6 in my case to do. Okay, so I've got my guitar just to quickly show you how we're gonna map things. So the first thing we're gonna do is play on the Wong plugin, and I'm going to show you how I've mapped it and so on and so forth. Just to explain really quickly what you're seeing in my DAW. Basically, as I said before, I had to set up each one of these instances of Neural DSP's archetype as a MIDI controlled instrument. Therefore, when I try to record the audio, it's not passing any audio through in an analog sense. So what I have to do is set as an output to a virtual instrument channel, and then set an input from that virtual instrument channel so it passes it as audio. So that's using my interface. This is just for the purpose of showing you how this works. You wouldn't have to do any of that necessarily. But anyway, just in case you were wondering. So first thing I want to do is set up my Archetype Wong plugin. So because this is a MIDI controlled instrument, the first thing you do need to do is you need to sidechain your input. That's very, very important. So basically what that means is where you could plug your guitar into your interface, whether that's input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In my instance, it's 9 for this one. I have to go up to my sidechain, go down to input and select input 9 because that's where I've plugged my guitar into in my interface. That way, it means I'm passing audio. So now I've got my guitar going through the plugin and it's passing through audio and I can play. The next thing I want to do is map my MIDI expression pedal. So just to also let you know, I've plugged in the FS6 as well. I've got it here. So we're gonna map all the buttons. When you're using it in a DAW, you don't get all the other settings. You just get tuner and your MIDI options. So I'm gonna go to my MIDI options. And this is my mapping. As you can see, all set to CC absolute, all on MIDI channel 1, as I'd said before. And these are my parameters. So CC number 3, which turns on the wah pedal, that's what that's set to. And CC number 2 is me being able to use the wah pedal as a wah. And then I'm running 4 and 5, so that's FS6 buttons 1 and 2, or A and B in this case. I can turn on and off my effects section, so that's my ambience, reverb and delay. I can turn that on and off. And then I've also got the postal service, which is the envelope filter pedal set to the other foot switch. So what I basically have control over with this rig using EV-1 and then a 2-button foot switch is I can control the wah pedal like an actual wah. On top of that, I can switch in my effects section entirely, so for my ambience and stuff. And on top of that, I can also control the envelope filter. So it's a really cool way of being able to expand on the functionality of the plugin. Okay, so this is just the sound of the guitar now that we've mapped everything. And if I press foot switch B, turns on the reverb. And then if I turn that off, if I press foot switch A, I get my envelope filler. Can get the ambience back. So that's really cool. If I move over to my wah section, it's currently turned off because obviously I've mapped the switch to activate this section. So if I press it down now, you can see it's turned on the Core E1 plugin, and now we have wah. Cool, so I've got the EV-1 on the floor, still got the FS6 sat on my desk here just so you can see that I'm switching certain things, and I've still got a screen grab going on the computer so you can see what's happening. At the minute, we are running into Archetype Gojira. So if I go over here, let me just show you what we've got going on. So, as I said before, the MIDI expression is set up to control the whammy, and I can switch it on and off. Then I've got control of the octave with foot switch B, and if you look to the effects section there, I can switch that off and on. So I've got some really cool sounds happening, particularly when you blend the octave with the whammy and the effects section. So. So that was a quick demonstration of what I've got set up here, is that I can turn on and off different effects, and also I've got control over the whammy. So here's a cool sound that I set up using the octave pedal, but then also the whammy in the same way, but also having it on an expression. You can do some cool riffing with it. So this is the sound of the guitar. I mean, completely random, but you get the idea. Basically, you've got the control having an expression on the floor, but then also, well, this should be on the floor really, but having multiple different ways to do it. I really like that. Okay, so now we're over at the Core E1, as you can see. Just to touch over, I've got the wah that I can use on the floor. I can also turn the effects on and off, and I've got control of the envelope filter. So let me just turn the wah off. Okay, so this is the sound of the guitar without anything switched on with the gear. I can switch the wah on. One thing I would say is that it's great that it does this with the plugin. That's the thing to focus on here, is that you can use it like that. But for wah, it needs to be a wah. So you're really feeling that, because it's a feel thing with the wah, like when you're going for those slower things. With this, it's not that there's latency or anything. It's really nicely mapped, but it's just, it doesn't feel like a wah. It feels like an expression pedal. So that's all I would say there. But that's not the point, really. That's just me using it in this context, and I was just pointing that out. You know, it's great that I'm doing this wirelessly, full stop. If I go ahead and throw on patch A, this is the envelope filter. It's great. So cool that you can do that. And because I've got two loaded up, I can switch straight back over to the Gajera, and I've got... It wasn't really the idea, but it's really cool that you can do that, because obviously I've got it set up that I can run both simultaneously, and because it's mapped, and I've got an ABY on the floor, and I can switch between, you know, the input that's set up for the Archetype 1 and the input that's set up for the Gajera. So I've got that down on the ground, but the expression is all just mapped to each one respectively. So when I'm swapping over, I can still use it all. Like the fact that I've got the wah pedal for this. We'll turn that off. But if I switch over, I've got the whammy. Very cool indeed. Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered all grounds with regards to being able to set this up, calibrate it, use it, map it within your DAW or a standalone version of a plugin. In this instance, it was the Neural DSP stuff because that's what I use mostly. But you can use this with, like I said, like Guitar Rig or any like expression-enabled MIDI-controlled instruments. In the same, you know, so you could use this as a sustain pedal or something, or an envelope filter on a synth plugin. You could use this in so many different ways because it's just MIDI. It just maps to whatever you want it to do. So that would conclude the video on the new Boss EV-1 WL. Hands down, an awesome idea, and I'm so glad that Boss were the people to bring it out, because they're really good at making sure the design works, it's all supported, it's reliable. Like, you know, this thing is just going to work. It just worked, and I really like that. But anyway, what do I think of the product itself? It's great. It's really good that you can map it to your computer, like you match it with your computer and control plugins. That's just opened up. For me, I was looking for something like that for ages. I remember asking on my Instagram and on my Facebook about, does anybody know where I can get a MIDI expression pedal for? Something where I can control plugins with an expression pedal. And there are other options out there, of course there are, but none of them I don't think are Bluetooth. And that in itself is an awesome feature, and why I would absolutely recommend, if you're in the market for getting an expression pedal for using with your computer or any other stuff like that, definitely check this out, because it's so convenient and so handy, and the fact that you can plug in a 2-button foot switch alongside it and map those as well makes this thing just an awesome pair. That's my opinion. Yes, it's a sponsored video, so you could say, oh, well, he's just saying that because, you know, they paid him to check out the product, but take from that what you will. My opinion genuinely is, I think this is an awesome product, and I would have bought this for myself if it didn't get sent to me to shoot a video on. So hopefully that answers your question, and hopefully it's been a helpful video and you think this is a really cool product. But I don't know what you think, so let me know in the comment section below. As always, I will link this gear and everything that you need to know about it in the description box. A huge thanks to Matt Knight for sending this out to me, and a huge thanks to Boss for creating a really damn useful tool. So yeah, anyway, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe and share. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.